Hello, welcome to Indication M. Today, we're going to go over the top 10 best sex movies. Make sure to watch until number 1, because it's one of the most amazing film. Sometimes the sex is an integral part of the plot, sometimes it's just a happy byproduct of sexy situations in the storytelling, but either way, the heat level on these movies is a minimum of 5 fire emojis. The art of seduction is not unlike that of film. What is left to the imagination is often what viewers end up wanting to see the most. Whether it's just out of frame or just out of touch, a healthy dose of yearning can edge us towards the gratifying moment of passion. Even just a tender close-up would otherwise be anticlimactic if not for its initial absence. Like any art form, movies are far from immune to humanity's instinctual fascination with sex. Whether it's in sophomoric explorations, gut-wrenching and spoken tensions, or the simple deed itself, sex and movies have been as entangled together as far back as the medium has existed. These are the best movies about lust, love, and everything in between. Sex, Lies, and Videotape. Financed, appropriately, by a home video company for a mere $1 million, Steven Soderbergh's debut feature caused a sensation at Sundance, won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, and became the herald of a new wave of American independent cinema. Holding true to the promise of its title, Soderbergh's taut chamber piece describes the romantic quadrangle that develops between repressed bourgeois housewife Andie MacDowell, her philandering husband, John Peter Gallagher, her considerably more carnal sister, Cynthia Laura San Giacomo, with whom John is carrying on an affair, and John's old college friend Graham James Spader, whose hobby of recording videos of women confessing their sexual problems, pleasures, and peccadillos ultimately tips the precarious balance of the foursome's relationships. Lady Chatterley's Lover. The latest adaptation of D.H. Lawrence's Lady Chatterley's Lover has predictably prompted significant media interest. Strong and contradictory reactions appeared in the newspapers weeks before it aired, on September 6. The Sun called the BBC film so steamy it borders on porn, while the Telegraph noted that the sex scenes are soft focus and expressed surprise at the omission of the novel's infamous four-letter words. Its writer and director, Jed Mercurio, must have anticipated such responses. In producing another adaptation of this iconic novel, he knew that he stood either to outrage viewers by the inclusion of sex scenes and four-letter words, or to disappoint them by their omission. But this adaptation not only departs from the original text, but also reinforces precisely the traditional values that Lawrence was trying to unpick. Eyes Wide Shut. Like many of his films, Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut has proven to be ahead of its time. The highly anticipated film starring real-life married couple Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman came with huge expectations, yet left many moviegoers scratching their heads when it eventually came out in July of 1999. Over the past 20 years, however, the film has been revisited and largely recognized as Kubrick's final masterpiece. Kubrick himself went on record before passing away that he felt the film was the strongest work in his legendary career. But that doesn't change what an arduous production the film turned out to be. Because of Kubrick's infamous perfectionism and fastidious attention to detail, Eyes Wide Shut took a staggering 400 days to complete filming. That was good enough to land a spot in the Guinness Book of World Record as the longest constant movie shoot. Quills. Some are born evil, others choose evil, and some have evil thrust upon them. We are most inclined to forgive the members of the first category. The Marquis de Sade, for example, was hardwired from birth as one of the most villainous of God's creatures. Although it is impossible to approve of him, it is possible to concede that he did what we are all enjoined to do. Taking the gifts and opportunities at hand, he achieved everything he possibly could. That his achievement is reprehensible does not entirely obscure the fact that his spirit was indomitable and his tenacity courageous. You know you've made your mark when a word, sadism, is named after you. Philip Kaufman's Quills supplies us with a Marquis toned down for popular consumption. You will not discover here that he thought an aristocrat like himself had the right to commit murder in search of pleasure. It was not much fun to be the Marquis, but most of the time in this movie, de Sade doesn't know that, and attacks each day with zest and curiosity. Shame. Steve McQueen co-writes and directs this starkly honest portrait of a man struggling with sex addiction. Michael Fassbender stars as Brandon, a lonely 30-something New York bachelor who lives a carefully concealed second life revolving around excessive levels of casual sex, prostitutes, pornography and masturbation. When his depressive sister, Sissy, arrives unannounced to stay with him, seeking refuge from her own troubles, Brandon's life starts to unravel as his dark and shameful secrets are revealed. Shame is heavy, but it's a fascinating viewing experience. Rarely does a film even look to sex addiction beyond superficial reasons. Here, McQueen wants his audience to feel the erosion of soul and the fury of bodily mistreatment, grasping an elusive atmosphere of humiliation and determination that's mesmerizing. Vicky Cristina Barcelona. The title refers to its three characters. Vicky is an earnest, cerebral young woman played by Britain's Rebecca Hall with the pitch-perfect American accent that the new generation of Brit professionals has mastered. She is working on her master's degree in Catalan culture and, leaving a well-off fiancé behind in New York, is spending the summer in Spain with her friend, the rumpled and sexually adventurous blonde Cristina, played by Scarlett Johansson. The third character is the city of Barcelona itself, whose architecture and cuisine are sunnily photographed as if for some tourist promotion. But all three are effortlessly upstaged by Penelope Cruz, playing Maria Elena, the passionate and crazy ex-wife of a moody Picasso-ish artist called Juan Antonio Gonzalo, Javier Bardem. He seduces both the Americans, and even engineers some PG certificate girl-on-girl action between Cristina and Maria Elena herself. The Piano Teacher. In this riveting study of the dynamics of control, Academy Award-winning director Michael Haneke takes on Nobel laureate Elfriede Jelinek controversial 1983 novel about perverse female sexuality and the world of classical music. Haneke finds his match in Isabelle Huppert, who delivers an icy but quietly seething performance as Erika, a piano professor at a Viennese conservatory who lives with her mother in a claustrophobically codependent relationship. Severely repressed, she satisfies her masochistic urges only voyeuristically until she meets Walter, Benoit McGimmel, a student whose desire for Erika leads to a destructive infatuation that upsets the careful equilibrium of her life. A critical breakthrough for Haneke, The Piano Teacher, which won the Grand Prix as well as dual acting awards for its stars at Cannes, is a formalist masterwork that remains a shocking sensation. Nymphomaniac, Volume 1. A self-diagnosed nymphomaniac recounts her erotic experiences to the man who saved her after a beating, and takes her into his home. As he tends to her wounds, she recounts the erotic story of her adolescence and young adulthood. First half of Nymphomaniac ends up being about is emotional intercourse, something the heroine treats lightly until it becomes clear that despite all the physical intimacy she's experienced, she's irretrievably lonely. Nymphomaniac, Volume 2. Part 2 of the highly explicit, two-volume tale of a self-diagnosed nymphomaniac from cinematic provocateur Lars von Trier. Picking up from where she left off in the previous installment, Jo revisits her increasingly excessive sexual experiences as an adult. Why von Trier felt it necessary to make this odyssey into two movies is a mystery, with only he knowing the true reason. Basic Instinct. The Take No Prisoners sex thriller from 1992 now stands as a milestone in the career of screenwriter Joe Eszterhas, but in the hands of director Paul Verhoeven, Basic Instinct is an undeniably stylish and provocative study of obsession. In the role that made her a star and showed the audience a little more skin than she intended, Sharon Stone plays the cleverly manipulative novelist Catherine Trammell, who snares San Francisco detective Nick Curran with her insatiable sexual appetite during the investigation of her boyfriend's murder. Trammell is the prime suspect, but the plot twists and turns until Curran is trapped in a dangerous cycle of dead ends and unsolved murders, never sure if Trammell is committing the crimes or if it is some other, unknown suspect. With a plot that keeps viewers guessing, Basic Instinct is the work of a director who is clearly in his element. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more videos. See you in the next video. Take care.